Hello everybody, thanks for coming to the Power Rangers panel. I hope everyone's having a good Preston Comic Con so far. Give us a cheer if you are. A lot more reaction than I got this morning. So we're here with Tom, Rajia and Alan obviously. So let's talk about Power Rangers.
Cool, open it up for any questions out there. Any questions, you guys?
Well, I'll start with one. So just tell us briefly how you first got involved with it, like first casting and that sort of thing.
We were really lucky, Alan and I, actually. It was just a regular casting. It was, I think it was my very first audition ever. It was really kind of, it was.
300 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to kick your ass off.
And she could.
Anyway, so, yeah, it was my first audition ever. And I met this fantastic woman called Katie Wallen. She had me on this call. And I saw the script, and it was kind of funny because I had no idea what this was. Nobody had any idea what the Power Rangers was because it hadn't come out yet. We had, no clue. But since I was classically trained, and my actual voice is a lot snootier than what I'm, talking, usually how I converse with Alan and the people back home in LA. But so because I'm classically trained, I just brought that to the audition and came up with all kinds of kind of strange little tics. And it was one audition and I got the job. That was miraculous. It never happens. I was lucky. Totally lucky.
That's
and
right.
Yeah.
And I was I was directing a show that Katie Wallen was producing.
Yeah.
And she asked me if I wanted to come and audition. And so I did. And I walked out and I got the call going home. So
yeah, it was miraculous.
And
we
the
were
same
so lucky.
thing, we both had sort of similar voices, so they were looking for this sort of speaking pattern. Whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me,
Elegant.
it was quite different.
1902.
Yeah. I was already working at Saban Entertainment as a director, as an ADR director and a writer, ADR writer, and voice actor. And Chaim Saban called in all the directors into the conference room. He threw two magazines down on the table. One was Time magazine with Steven Spielberg superimposed over the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and the other was the Japanese fan mag of Power Rangers. And he said, "We are going to combine these two and make $1 gazillion." And he did.
And he did.
And he did. So I did about 125 characters in Power Rangers. Probably the two most known are Master Vile and General Furio. But this was in the old days. I also wrote 2 of the first episodes in the first season of Power Rangers.
How cool is that?
Pretty cool. And it was great fun. We were creating this thing from scratch. And at the beginning, mind you, most of the footage was Japanese footage of these very cheesy monsters and these Power Rangers, who all were about between 5 foot tall and 5'4", whereas the American actors were all 5'7" to 6 feet. So you would see these great big American actors in the American footage, and suddenly they would shrink down into these little tiny Power Rangers. Everybody bought it, so what the heck? And it was great fun creating it and seeing how far it went. I was in the show for I think about 4 seasons. And then I moved on and directed some other shows and was really too busy to go up to Valencia. We recorded it in Valencia, California, which is where they did most of the shoots of the American footage around a place called Castaic Lake, which is also just north of Valencia. And it was this shining, blasting inferno of energy, because it just burst upon the American scene, and it put the word morph into the American. I mean, it was already in the dictionary, but nobody knew that word until Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah. It's really cool that you're talking about the different sizes and all this kind of things of the actors, but the reality is also that there were so many incredibly skilled martial artists on those shows. Like, you know, Jason Frank and, oh my goodness, like Steve Cardenas.
Yeah,
We are
definitely.
talking about martial arts masters. They kick butt. Am I allowed to say kick butts and say
Yes.
the other word? Okay. They kicked butt. They were really amazing.
And they teach now.
Oh,
as well.
yeah, they teach. They're incredible.
Or they wrestle professionally.
It's incredible. And these and our wonderful. We had our stunt doubles. My Japanese stunt double.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's so fantastic. He's now directing, but it was really cute because he was a he and he wore a bra that they had to pad to make him a little more.
And mine was a woman.
Is that crazy? Does that work or what? It's the energy. What can you say?
I had a question based on something that Tom was talking about with the writing of those early episodes. Considering you mixing it in with the Japanese footage, were there any challenges?
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, really.
It was horrible because nobody really knew from moment to moment exactly what footage we were going to be using, and they would try to describe it, and then they'd bring in this footage, and it wasn't anything like the footage they had described. So what we had written to describe what was about to happen didn't happen. So we had to go back and do many rewrites. But other than that, it was free reign. We could basically write anything we wanted, as long as they were very, very strict about language for the American actors. Because it was, when it first came out, it was definitely a kid's show. It was strictly for children, they thought.
Yeah.
And then when
yeah,
it took off and
exactly.
it
See
became
that?
a young adult thing, and then it became a
Exactly.
worldwide phenomenon. So, but yeah, other than just being very strict about the language, it was basically creative license. It was fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of language, one of the weirdest things that I thought, it was fascinating to me. It was like our third episode, I think, that we did. It was directed by, I think, one of the stunt people who did not speak English at all.
Amazing.
And so he would speak to another person who spoke a little bit of English. He
Ingrid.
spoke. That was bad. Anyway, spoke. I think Japanese and German, and then it was passed down to a guy who spoke German and English.
Isn't that
so
crazy?
so it was passed down to 4 people before it hit us, and so it was this long drawn out sentence, and then all of a sudden it came to, he wants you to stand there.
It's so good. Yeah. Oh, hilarious.
Do we have any questions from the audience at this point? Got one on the front row here.
You said you didn't know what Power Rangers were when you auditioned,
Yes.
but were you able to watch any of it, either Power Rangers or Super Sentai, before you started filming?
Not before we started filming. We really went into this completely cold and had no idea. When, oh my goodness, including our costumes, we really didn't know, right? So here in my imagination, I'd seen like people walking in and off of set, really looking super cool in their, outfits. And then they had me in for the fitting, and I saw my mask, which is not here. And I got to tell you, it ain't the most flattering look on a girl, but it was so good. I mean, they chose us so specifically. Like, we have an African American, we have a Latino, we have a couple of super white guys. You're part Puerto
I'm
Rican.
Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, and a Scottish Arab. That's me. So
And an obnoxious person. Oh.
Yeah, I'm an obnoxious person.
Not you.
Oh, you can't say that.
No, I
We had one. Okay, we had one personality challenged person, right?
But we showed him. We actually locked him in his trailer.
We did.
Which is super fun.
He's gonna see this, and then he's gonna.
No.
Okay. Somebody else locked him in the trailer.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, someone. I don't know.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
Was it a lot of fun doing it that way?
Oh,
it was a blast.
yeah.
It really
yeah.
was.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, there were so many fun. The day we shot at the botanical gardens was the day that they
That's
came down on OJ's. It was
the O.J. Simpson
trial.
case.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when they did the verdict,
Oh,
we
it was
were
nuts.
all standing around the prop truck watching. The
Yeah, that
verdict
was
of I
that was a
remember
crazy
that.
time. Yeah, that was crazy time. It was really a fun period of time for all of us, I think. You know,
Yeah.
not knowing what was going on and then seeing it develop and like feeling that energy.
Yeah.
And you know, the fans are so dedicated and so excited. And I mean, look, all these years later, here we are hanging out together, having a good time. I like that. I
And
think it's
you've
a really
got-
positive messaging, you know.
You would shoot out of order as
Mhm.
well, so you really didn't exactly know what was happening.
You didn't know what the hell was going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, then I do this. The day
They
that we were
moved
at
really
the,
fast.
you know, when we were at the
ice cream truck?
down in
Fighting with Masterval?
what is it? The crazy watching the fish in the planetarium.
The aquarium?
The aquarium. And I don't know where that was. It's a weird aquarium that I've never seen since. But all those kind of crazy places where it would say, "Okay, you're doing this," and you trust that the editor knows exactly what they're doing because we just kind of do what they tell us to do, and then at the end of it, the editing really is, you know,
Yeah, it was
what made the show.
You should have heard what was
We-
going on in the editing room. What are we supposed to do with this?
That's exactly right. But I mean, the reality is, I mean, it's fantasy and it's fun and it's a little frenetic, so it doesn't really matter that much. It's not, you know, we're not doing a Scorsese moment, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. I
Did you
mean,
just say Scorsesian? Did you? That's lovely.
Did you read any of the material before you started the series, when you started filming?
Did we read it?
Read any of the material?
we got the sides just like
We just
before.
Yeah, we got
and sometimes
sides.
on the day.
Dailies,
Yeah.
you know,
Like,
that
yeah,
you just get these little.
Stand there, say these lines. And-
Yeah. And how the heck did we remember our lines, by the way, when we got them daily? Because right now, I'm not sure that I could.
Well, we
Yeah,
got
I
them
know.
first thing in the morning
Yeah.
when we
Right.
got our makeup on, and
Yeah.
then they were always setting up. For
Yes.
no matter how early
Exactly.
you got there, you were always waiting 2 hours. for
And
them
but
to
well,
set
you
up.
know, the makeup, by the way, took 3 hours to get into that.
At the beginning,
wow.
at the beginning.
Oh yeah, at the end, yeah. At the end, Cynthia, our great makeup lady, is so fun because to start with, she was, you know, drawing in my purple lips with the highlights and the lovely yellow
And that
face and all the
gold.
oh, and the dotting. Okay, and at the end, she's like, oh,
You're
go,
right.
go.
It didn't read as well on camera. So they were like,
Exactly. She spit shined my head. It was fine. It was great.
But I think this is an example of how everybody on that show, the makeup people, the actors, the writers, everybody, and the editing, people were learning as they went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and for a lot of people, it was their first gig doing something, and they knew somebody, or they had a friend, or they had been an intern somewhere, and they developed into consummate professionals because of that
Absolutely.
show.
What was your first role as an actor?
My first role as an actor,
Yeah.
there's an old movie in 1958.
1958.
1958, there's a movie called An Affair to Remember. with,
You did An Affair to
with
Remember?
Cary Grant and Deborah Carr, and I was the drummer I was the drummer in the Orphan Band.
Oh,
That was my first role on stage.
Cary Grant.
Yes, and Deborah Carr, after the
I
shoot,
love her.
she walked by
I
and she
love him.
patted me on the head and said, "I think you have a future in this business."
That's sweet. That's
I
fabulous.
love her. She's such a lovely woman. Wasn't she amazing?
Absolutely.
She's
How
the
was
one that
Carrie?
outed her.
How was
voice
Carrie?
double.
How's Cary?
Funny.
Funny. Yes,
Very
that's what I
funny.
heard.
Yeah, very funny.
We had a question from the gentleman in the middle there.
There's-
I was just wondering, you know, the Aliens Rangers segment in Michael Bolton Power Rangers. I can't remember, was it second or first season?
No, it's the beginning of third season. Very beginning of third season. Oh, was it the end of second season, beginning of third?
I think it was end
Yeah,
of
end of
second.
second season, beginning of third.
Right
They-
when contract negotiations were happening.
Yeah, but you know, it's really interesting because they actually thought that we were going to be tapering off, you know, it's just a little group, you know, a little bunch of episodes to end the season, and it ended up going to #1. So we killed it. That was really fun. So yeah, and they were talking about
spin-off.
doing a spin-off. Yeah.
So in total, how many episodes were the Alien Power Rangers involved?
Well, it was 11 regular, and then
And
I did a
then-
couple because I mean I also did
No, it was
Zio.
10 and then 12. It's 10 and 2 the next.
Yeah, but I also did Zio after that.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, about that.
So what do you think you know, caught the audience interest in, say, the Alien Power Rangers?
I think the fact of the matter is that we had so many different types, and this was a fresh thing, you know what I mean? Because you had the first, couple of seasons of the same kind of look, the same kind of feel, and then you had these really unusual characters, and just, I think the novelty of it.
It also seemed like
a really
cartoon
positive.
characters came to life.
Yes.
It's almost like almost seeing it come off the page, and I think that's what was kind of interesting
It was
about
fun.
it. 'Cause-
It was totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question
We'll
over
guess
there.
it.
Yeah, I'm just interested how these things sort of, the inception of them and how they carry on. When you started, you were casting, how many shows did you sign up for? And was there sort of like a pilot process where they decided actually this was working, therefore contract you for another 10? That sort of thing, or did you sign up for like a full first
No, we
season?
signed up
No.
for the.
Yeah, we
For
just
life.
signed up for the we signed up for the, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess sort of connected to that, was it well funded? Was it a sort of shoestring production, or was it, in your?
I did all right.
Yeah, you thought it was.
I mean, I cannot complain. It was not a SAG gig, which was part of the issue. But I mean, honestly,
nice.
I don't know what you're gonna pay, but I got paid well.
Well,
I think
it was favored nations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever you made, we all made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. That was one of the things we discussed
Yeah.
at the very, very
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
And that's because we did want it equitable, so nobody felt, you know what I mean?
Slighted.
Yeah.
Disrespected.
It's really, really important. Exactly, not
Yeah.
disrespected. Exactly.
Did any of the Rangers from the original series offer you any advice before you started? Did you get to speak to them before you started?
Heck no.
The other one that we actually worked with was David.
Yes.
At the
David Yost. Yeah.
Because he was the
What
first
was the
one to
que-
come
what was the
back
question?
to.
What was the question?
Did we get any advice from the other Power Rangers?
Oh,
No, we did not. No, David Yost.
Did they tell you how to say something? The
No.
other Rangers.
I came to voice acting from a career as a Shakespearean actor.
Yeah.
So I was a classical, and I had this
Sounds like all
big.
of us.
I think we all.
Or-
I
or
was
maybe
called
not,
an
maybe I'll just
8-bit voice, which means, and I take no credit for this, but if you look at my voice on an oscilloscope, instead of 2 lines like most people, it'll show 8 different lines because it comes from so many places in my body, and that's what gives it this resonance. No, I take no credit. That's just how I was born. But because I was at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, I was one of the only actors who could reach the back row of the outdoor theater, of the Elizabethan theater, with just my voice without a microphone. Now they use microphones, which I think is a cheat. But so when I came to Power Rangers and these other things, it was always with this big sort of, and I was known for my, growly villains and my Transformer voices and stuff like that. Until I did. Are any of you familiar? I'm just curious. Here in England, are any of you familiar with a show called the Hallow Spencer Show? Anybody ever heard of it? Oh, okay. Anyway, a lot of actors were angry at me because I got cast as the lead in this show that I was directing, and they thought it was because I was the director, because his voice sounded like this. Hello out there to all you kids from A to Z and north to south and east to west. It's the Hallow Spencer Show, all right. And then people who did those voices normally were pissed that I was, that I did. But generally speaking, because I came from a classical background, it was just like full throttle. I had to always back off from the microphone. It took me a long time to learn really good mic technique. Eventually I became a narrator of audiobooks. I've done over 250 of those. And then microphone technique is everything. And you have to learn how to act that way. But for the stuff, as you so rightly pointed out, this was a comic book come to life. So everything was over the top.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. We were even told to slow down our speech. That was one of the things. Because sometimes people, now when they look at it, they're like, "Rajia, why are you speaking so slowly?" I'm like, "Shh." No. We were told to slow down so we'd sound more alien. I have to say, both Shuki and Saban were really, really nice and supportive. And of course, having you there was fantastic because we would come up with, I remember walking, outside on the set, or outside the set rather, and, doing these little things with my hands and little tick things and saying, I don't know, what do you think? And Shuki was going, yeah, I like it very much. Yes, do that, they'll do it.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. And then Alan happened to be there. And that just, I mean, because we got to be friends on that show. And I thought, this is cool, because he liked the ideas too.
Everything,
So really, you know, we were a good team on that show.
A lot of people don't realize that
Yes.
the heart, I've got pen all over me, but that our pinnacle is there's the heart representing love, because we were actually peaceful people. And then when we
Put
put
them
it
all
together,
together,
it made
yes,
a
super.
star.
Yeah, superpower thing.
With
So
the
that,
five of
and
us
all of them
together.
fit perfectly.
So it was really cool.
So yes, and to get straight guys to do that would have been just impossible at times. So it was really cool that we got away with that. It was great. And it's now a positive message. And looking, I mean, really, it was so forward thinking. Our show was so, because again, the first female leader. Did you hear that? Woohoo! Yes, the first leader, a white ranger. And we had all these great nationalities, different sexualities, water and planet, concerns. Water is life, and now we're talking about the oceans. So ahead of its time. That guy was smart. Really, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I would love to go back and be able to ask Chaim and Shuki if that was one of the reasons that they chose this show to do, because it did have a message, a wonderful message, especially for younger people.
Yeah.
You know, as role models. I mean, the Power Rangers were great role models.
Totally, yeah.
And I don't know if it was that or just they wanted to make a lot of money, but hopefully
That was smart too.
Hopefully it was part of why they chose to do the show.
Win-win-win is a good way to go.
Yeah.
When everybody wins, when the fans win, when the creators win, and when it's just a good societal thing for me. I just
And
think
he
it's
does a
great.
lot of good stuff for Children's
Hospital LA.
A
Yeah.
whole bunch of stuff, so
Yeah.
that's really great.
Yeah.
When I first got hired by Chaim, he and Shuki were they were known, but what they were known for was music. In fact, over the years, Shuki and
I didn't know
Chaim
that.
were always in the first 3 top spots of the hit lists of
Yeah.
the people who made money, because they were very, very smart. They made all these animated shows that they got from Japan, and they paid whatever the Japanese were asking at that, $3,000 an episode or $5,000 an episode. And then they would make the shows into English, and they would give them away. But they reserved the rights on the music, and they wrote all the original music for these shows. So every time they got played, it would go on the BMI chart, and they were at the top of the list every year, making more money than anybody because they kept the musical rights.
Oh, I didn't know.
Well, Chaim dated this woman that my boss in New York named Gila Ehrlich, and she was a huge star in Israel.
Sounds like it.
And he produced her stuff. So that's how I found out about his music stuff.
But
It's really
now,
cool.
Chaim Saban's name, Saban, there are buildings all over Los Angeles
Yeah, with his name on them.
on them. He's a multi-billionaire, so.
He should go SAG though with the show.
You think?
I think, well,
But
they
isn't
did
it
for a
SAG
little
now?
bit. Well, as soon as it went SAG, they took it out of the country.
Yeah, and it went to New Zealand.
Oh, that's when it went to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Ah, I see. They're still producing it, by the way, in New Zealand.
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, it's got to be
Well,
the
they know.
longest running show.
Oh, of course.
Daniel charge will now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I forgot what the question was then.
Do you think the TV series will ever go on Blu-ray? I know that some of the seasons are on DVD, but do you think any of the Power Rangers TV series will go on Blu-ray?
I don't know.
I don't know about that. No idea.
Not our yub.
Didn't they just do a new one? The
Yeah, but
whole
it looked really
box
good,
set?
remastered
I
or
thought they
something.
did
It
that
looked
box
really
set on
good.
Blu-ray.
I know it's on DVD.
But it wasn't on Blu-ray, huh?
No.
Oh, I thought they did it on both.
Oh, I
You
don't
might
know.
see some of the detail in the rushed makeup.
And is it Territory 1 or Territory 2? Territory 1 or Territory 2?
I don't know.
It'll be Territory 2. If it's Blu-ray, it'll be
Well, Blu-ray is everywhere, but
it'll be Region B.
Region B? There was a question over there?
Now that Power Rangers will be owned by Hasbro, would you want the Alien Ranger figures to be released?
But I want the Alien Rangers what?
Figures to be released.
The figures
the
to be
action
back.
figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they would do it, but it would be awesome.
Sure. I mean, I've got to say, I've gotten, a lot of the fabulous fans have sent me so many of the figures. I have this collection of Delphine and Jara, actually, as well, figures that I collect, and then I send them back, of all places, to this friend of mine now. One of the fans has become a friend, this great guy, Daniel, and this wonderful guy, Matt. There's the two of them. Matt Wilson he does all the helmets in England. He makes the best helmets. If you guys ever need one of those manufactured, he is a killer. And Daniel does such good work. He goes around dressed, they dress up, do their cosplay things, and they go to sick children all over the UK.
Oh,
sometimes in blizzard conditions. I was also worried about them. Excellent guys, so
But
yeah.
long story longer, is she gives all the figures, and stuff to them. That they can.
They get all the goodies. Thought I started with that.
No.
You know how
You
tired I
did
am.
start there, but
I did start. Yeah. Jet lagging.
Was there a specific moment when you realised that what you were involved in was so massively popular?
Way later.
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
Way later. Yeah. So, my boyfriend actually trained Catherine Sutherland to get her in shape at the time. So I knew that they were really, very, very popular, because she was saying to me, my God, we're going to these, these arenas, and there's 50,000 screaming kids and screaming people.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew it was really catching fire. Yeah.
Catching Fire, that sounds familiar.
Earlier on you had said that you played around 125 characters. Which was your favourite to act as?
Probably Furio, whose voice I can't do for you because when I recorded it, they took my voice, which kind of sounded like this, and then they raised it half an octave and did both at the same time, simultaneously. So it takes two people to actually do that role, unless they, it's electronically processed that way. But he was fun because he was kind of a toady to the, who was the female arch villain?
Rita?
Repulsa?
No, not Rita Repulsa. No, the one later was very beautiful.
Hexiba?
Yeah. And I just loved toadying up to that character. That was fun. Yeah. I thought she was very funny lady. Very funny lady. Back there.
Have any of you ever lost your voices?
Lost my voice?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Because I do a lot of video games, and some of them have been wicked.
Brutal.
Absolutely wicked. I mean, there was one, I didn't mention the name, but when I arrived, it was, okay, so you have 360 screams in a row, 3 different intensities, and they think we don't earn our money. By the end of that session, which is why it's so great, actually, that we've had a renegotiation. But by the end of that session, I was in bed for a week. Yeah, my voice was gone for 3 days, and it definitely altered my singing voice.
Had I known her at the time, I would have told her.
Because I support my gut really well and my back, so it was,
There are some magical things that you can take for your voice. Doing audiobooks, you're sometimes, especially if it's a simultaneous release with a movie and an audiobook, and you have to get it done, you have to do 8 hours a day, sitting in front of a microphone, doing all different characters and rock voices and women's voices, etc. There are 2 magical elixirs you can take. One is called Bragg's Organic Apple Cider Vinegar.
I have that.
And it says on the label, with the mother, which is a particular enzyme. And if you mix that 4 parts, either juice, apple juice, or water, or any other kind of juice, to 1 part of the vinegar, and you sip that during your session, your vocal cords will remain clear no matter what you do to them. The other thing is called Sangre de Drago, or dragon's blood, which is made by a company called Herb Farm, spelled P-H-A-R-M, or you would say Herb Farm. And it's made by somebody else too. But anyway, Sangre de Drago, dragon's blood, is made from the bark of a tree that grows in Colombia. And you use an eyedropper's worth of that to about a quarter cup of water and sip that during sessions, and that also will make your vocal cords stay completely clean, completely clear, no phlegm, no hoarseness at all.
It's not
Or
the phlegm.
alcohol, too.
It's not really, for me, it's not the phlegm factor. It was the amount.
The intensity, sure, yeah.
It was just tearing up, especially for women. And I have always had a really powerful voice that can go. But there's been a couple of sessions, my goodness, including doing this Mermaids for Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, ooh. A couple of sessions that absolutely torched my throat and changed my singing voice. That's a really good question for a voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You were talking earlier about the fanatic devotion to the show. I was wondering about you personally. Is there anything that you feel that way about? Is there anything that you're particularly a fan of, or that you have been a fan of?
Fanatically devoted?
Yeah.
Theater.
That's a
music
powerful
Musical
word.
theatre.
Yeah, musical theater is my thing.
Really?
Gee, really?
Do you have a favourite show?
Oh
or
my goodness.
Current favourite or an all-time favourite?
I was just talking about this, Dear Evan Hansen. Andrew Lloyd Webber has given me my bounty of money because I did Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat 1,200 and something times. Did 10 productions and toured it and blah, 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 blah. And then toured with Andrew Lloyd Webber's music of Andrew Lloyd Webber with Michael Crawford and Sarah Brightman. And so they've given me, but that's not my favorite music. But, but it's been good money for me.
What do you think of Company? Sondheim.
Love Company. I'm
knew
going
you
to
would.
see it.
I knew you would.
I'm going to see it this
I knew
week.
you would.
No kidding.
Yeah, I knew you would.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat dedicated to Torchwood. I love that show. They're showing it again in the States, and I'm watching it from the beginning all the way through. I love that. I'm in love with Eve Miles. She's wonderful. But other than that, I'm ashamed to admit it. I used to not deign to watch reality shows, but The Voice and
that is good.
I thought you were going to say Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
The Voice and
Jersey
America's
Shore.
Got Talent. I love both of those shows. Oh, and
I love
World
The
of
Voice.
Dance. I don't know if you get that here
Oh
yet.
yeah. Oh my God.
It's
so
amazing.
good.
It is
so
amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My friend actually is a judge for it here in the UK. Well, she was. Arlene Phillips. She does it over here. She's
What, World of Dance?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. I didn't know they were doing it here. They're doing it here.
Yes. It's
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it started here.
Oh, well,
So
as a lot of them have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I love me some Game of Thrones.
Me too.
I love me some Vikings. Woo!
We're about down there.
Oh,
No,
also
but then-
Outlander.
Yeah, I like
Oh, yeah,
Outlander.
yeah.
That's good too. But I do tend, I love the historical things. I really, really do. But I do like a little bit of, adventure and fantasy in there as well. So yeah, binge watching. That's me. Yeah.
Probably got time for one or two more questions from the audience. Anyone? Okay, one right there.
You said you like Torchwood. What's your thoughts on Doctor Who?
Oh, I love Doctor Who. I'm really looking forward to the new one with the female
female
as Doctor Who. I mean, that's the first female, right? Doctor Who? Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I've got that set up my DVRs to tape it, the whole 9
What
yards.
do you think of the new female lead, though?
I don't know yet. I mean, we haven't. She
Well,
hasn't.
what do you mean? What I mean is, what do you think of it being the Doctor and woman this time?
Wonderful. I think it's wonderful.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a thing happening in the world right now,
Yeah.
and it fits right in with that. And
The
I'm
future
all
is
I'm all
female,
for it.
baby.
I'm all for it.
Are you a purist? Is that what?
No, it's just some people.
And if so,
were
we'll talk
complaining-
outside.
When the first campaign out, Jodie Whittaker came with Doctor. They all complained. Men complained. Like, it wouldn't be a role model to young boys, but it's not.
Some men, right?
It's following a trend that women aren't getting the role they should be getting. It's following equality rules where we should get the same roles as men.
Yeah.
But I must say that I the only Doctor Who that I really loved and felt kind of loyal to was David Tennant.
Yeah.
I must say, yeah. I thought he was wonderful.
Okay, final question. Anyone in the audience as well?
You are a quiet lot over there.
Thank you for coming out.
Absolutely.
Everyone. This has
So
been
nice
fun.
to have met you.
Okay.
Really nice folks in Preston, and thank you again.
We're glad you're having such a good time. So,
Yeah.
please give us a fast round of applause. make sure you stop by their tables if you do think of any other questions that you want to ask.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for coming, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Growling. I was sitting there.